everyone's.
Good morning, everyone. There are still people entering, but we're going to get started. It's 10 o'clock. We said the convention would start at 10. It's very exciting to have our second Jewish Caucus Convention. We have over 100 people already here. There are more people joining us. Can I just get a thumbs up that you can see my screen and the PowerPoint? Great. Thanks so much. So, I see many thumbs up. Very good. Do we have Gabe Esparza here? No. Do we have Julia Greenfield here?
Caleb.
Jeff, this is
Caleb.
Joyce.
Caleb.
Jeff, this is Joyce Francisco. You need to put your slides into presentation mode.
They are in presentation mode.
Not on my screen.
No, they're still showing as individual.
You're sharing the control slide. You're not sharing. You're not sharing the presentation.
One moment. I'm going to share. Within the
That's it.
And that's Matt. Did you do the live stream yet?
Yes. Yes, I did the live stream.
Okay, I don't know how to make the screen larger because on my screen I went into presentation mode.
No, you're good now.
You got it, Jeff. It's good.
Okay, good.
All
Caleb,
right, where's
I'm here.
Caleb?
Can you
I
unmute
think it's
Caleb?
my time. Yeah, happy to jump in here. It's an honor to be here with you all and support you all as you do some important work today, and happy to lead the Pledge of Allegiance.
Thank you. Go ahead, Caleb.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Julia Greenfield, can we unmute Julia? And Julia, would you lead us in the salute to the North Carolina flag? Okay. Jesse Oppenheim, can we unmute Jesse Oppenheim and can you lead us in the salute to the flag?
Happy to do it, Jeff. I salute the flag of North Carolina and pledge to the Old North State love, loyalty, and faith.
Hooah!
All right. Pam, can you tell us how many people are currently joined?
We have 112 participants.
Okay. We have 404 members. More than 101 are present currently, so we do have quorum. We can continue the meeting.
Hooah!
I'm going to put again into the chat window, and I may need to get off screen for a moment to do that. I'm going to put into the chat window a link to the hard copies of both the agenda, rules of the day, the detailed bylaw revisions, and information on membership dues. I'm going to put that into the chat window, and there's a link there, and at any time you can go to that link and view the materials. One moment, send it to everybody in the meeting. Good, you can see it. All right, I'm going back to the share screen. Okay. Our agenda. We've already done the quorum call. In a moment, we'll do the adoption of the agenda.
Not in presentation mode.
Adopting the rules of the day. Take a look at our accomplishments, which are quite a few. Then we'll talk about some revised bylaws. We're just going to cover a high-level summary, but the detail can be accessed on the NCDPJC.org website. It's also what I put into the chat window. We will then take a look at the slate of nominees for the head of the executive committee, and we'll accept nominations from the floor if anybody wants to self-nominate or nominate somebody else. and then we'll elect our officers. We'll do the same for the members of the Mediation and Conciliation Committee. And then Matt will lead us in the election of congressional district representatives. He'll explain how we're going to go about that at that time. We'll be doing that in individual congressional districts. We'll at that point talk about the strategic planning effort we did last year in August and the priorities for 2025. We'll have a treasurer's report, talk about membership dues, and at that point, we'll be able to adjourn him.
Can you please get it back to the larger format?
Whoever did it for me before, can you do it again? Because again, on my screen, I'm sharing in presentation mode. Matt, was it you who enlarged the screen for me? I apologize for the technical glitch. We'll sort it out in a second. I need help from whoever the Zoom gurus are. On my computer, I'm in presentation mode, which is as large as I can make it.
Are you on an Apple computer?
I am.
It's there's an issue sometimes with the Apple computers and presentation mode.
Well, somebody a moment ago,
It's something you did on your side. Click on the
If you take it out of presentation mode and just go to the deck, there you go. On the at the bottom, you see where you see the book, straight down, right there on the book. No, to the left, click that. No, what looks like a book. One more to the right. There you go.
of the book.
That's it. Yep,
Does that work better?
Yeah.
Is this
perfect.
larger?
Yeah.
That's
That's
it.
better.
Okay, thank you for the education. I appreciate it. So at this moment, I'd like to, I'll entertain a motion to adopt the agenda.
So moved.
Do we have a second?
I
Second.
second.
Thank you very much. Can we, by a show of hands, if you agree to adopt the agenda, raise your hand.
How do I raise?
React.
Okay, can we put everybody's hands down now, please?
I did notice some people were raising their physical hands. There may be some people that are not sure how to do that still.
We'll go over that again in 1 second, but we had a large majority, so I'm not going to bother asking you people opposed because we had well more than 60 people approving the agenda. So the agenda is approved. We're now going to go to the rules of the day. Now, as I mentioned to you, and I can put again in the chat, well, it's in the chat window. If you go to ncdpjc.org, you can read these rules in detail. They were sent out to you previously by email. So we're not going to read through each of these rules, but each of these rules has both been sent to you, has been posted on the website, and you can view on the website right now. Do we have any questions about the rules of the day? If you do, put it in the chat window and let us know, and we'll address those questions. And while
Please lower hands.
pardon me?
People have their hands still up. Please lower their hands.
To raise at the bottom of the screen, you'll see a bunch of icons. The fourth one from the right says reactions. It has a smiley face. To raise your hand, you left click on reactions, and you'll see a bar that says raise hand. To lower your hand, you'll do the same thing, but it'll immediately pop up and show lower hand.
Okay. Does anybody have a question in the chat window about the rules of the day? I'm not popping out to the chat window because I want to stay in this presentation mode. but can anybody else on the leadership team who sees a question in the chat window, can you let me know?
Jeff,
Yes.
rules of the day say if you have a technical question, send a message to technical questions. I don't think that exists on our chat. So should that be sent to Pam then?
You can send it in the chat window to Matt Sadinsky.
Okay.
Thank you.
You have to follow the meeting.
Two participants have raised hands. Are those with questions?
Yes, please. So I have the same question. In the rules of the day, it says if we want to be recognized, we should send a chat to recognition from the chair, and that does not exist. So how do we wish, if we want to be recognized, how do we get your attention?
Send recognition to Carol Schwartz or Pam McAfee. Jeff? Jeff, can you hear me?
Somehow I became muted. Sorry. I can hear you, Matt.
I move that we adopt the rules as is.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
I second.
All those in favor, raise your hand.
Your hands.
Good. It's been motioned and seconded to approve the rules of the day. We're now voting.
Okay, please lower your hands now. Thank you. Any opposed to the rules of the day, please raise your hand. In the eyes of the chair, the rules of the day have passed. Thank you very much. So now let's talk about our accomplishments to date. Pardon me. We've had a great year. So we were first chartered as a caucus, officially recognized by the North Carolina Democratic Party at the very end of 2023. So 2024 was our first year. But we achieved recognition by assembling a powerful coalition of congressional leaders, the Jewish organizations, both in-state and nationally, and North Carolina party leaders. It was only with their support that we overcame objections to our becoming a caucus. As a result, we were chartered. We then established 6 chapters across 7 counties. Since then, we helped break the GOP legislative supermajority. We raised over $24,000 in our caucus for legislative candidates here in North Carolina, as well as targeted get out the vote efforts here in North Carolina. We wound up endorsing 11 candidates formally, and you can see the names of the people we endorsed. And of them, 5 won the races. So, I mean, locally, Lisa Grafstein, Terrence Everett, Mitchell Silver were candidates we endorsed, we supported, and they won. Of course, Josh Stein and Jeff Jackson won with great support across the state. A lot of what we did was relatively behind the scenes. We lobbied officials, published news stories, and lent our voices wherever we saw Jewish interests and values were at risk here in North Carolina. So we have examples on this page and next. We collaborated with leaders of the state party and other caucuses when the town of Matthews held a commissioners' meeting, and there was some horrible anti-Semitic, homophobic, and racist commentary that was allowed, and it was horrible. And we collaborated with those leaders across and caucuses to compel the town of Matthews, the commissioners, to be more proactive in preventing that, and they have been. They acknowledged the mistake, and they have responded. So we were very effective there. And it was the collaboration with others which made our voice much stronger. We also lobbied the Republican Party to condemn and, if admitted, to refuse to seat a neo-Nazi podcaster, Joseph Gibson, who ran in the State House Republican primary. He did not win. But again, we raised our voices as a large group to make sure that it was understood that he was unacceptable. We lobbied the North Carolina legislature to vote for a budget that supported child care programs and against the closure of North Carolina child care providers. Other examples include we lobbied for passage of the Shalom Act that codified into law the IRA definition and examples of anti-Semitism. It passed and was signed into law July 1st. And we were told that our actions were actually materially important in the legislature to gain additional votes. So we are very proud of that. And like many, we spoke out against Mark Robinson and his record of anti-Semitism, homophobia, and hatred. And then, really importantly, we just had an incredible election. And we rallied members across the state, both within chapters and individually, to go out and canvass, make calls, send postcards to support candidates, to serve at election polls in various roles, and to attend key meetings at city, county, and state events. So we were very effective at getting the word out. So in one short year, we accomplished a lot. And thank you very much. Later in our presentation, we'll talk about what we have in store for 2025 because we will need everyone's help to be successful. At this point, I'd like to turn the floor.
Mr. Chairman, we have a hand raised. Eileen Paroff.
I'm sorry, Eileen, go ahead. You're muted, Eileen.
Yeah.
For what purpose do you raise your hand, Eileen?
I don't.
Okay.
Don't.
Please lower, but thank you. At this point, I'll turn the meeting over to Ken Shore, who headed our bylaws committee, to just give you a brief overview of the things being done. Again, the detail can be found at ncdpjc.org, where you can read the full detail of the actual changes. Ken
Point of
Shore.
inquiry, Mr. Speaker, before we move on.
Pardon me?
Alana Davis has her hand raised.
Thank you. For what purpose do you raise your hand, Alana?
Alana, point of inquiry.
Alana?
Yep, I've got a point of inquiry. May I proceed?
Yes, please.
Oh, lovely. Yasher Koach, Kol Kavod. Great work on all those lovely accomplishments. I'm curious how a member might be brought up to speed on these things as they're happened. So much of this I'm learning in retrospect, wondering if one needs to be in leadership or how this information gets disseminated to caucus members as it's happening. I don't think I received any calls to action as these lobbying efforts were underway.
Thank you for the question. So in 2024, we had a variety of ways of sharing information. We shared it on our website. We had an irregular, soon to be a regular, monthly newsletter which shared information, and individual chapters shared information. I confess it was imperfect. We will do better in 2025. We have progressively gotten more and more organized. So in 2025, we will have regular monthly communications to all members. We'll also put these things on our website at all times. But thank you for the question. It was a valid criticism. Seeing no other hands raised, I'm going to turn it over to Ken Shore.
Thank you, Jeff. The bylaws committee looked at the bylaws in the past year. It's a relatively new organization. The bylaws are recent. It was not an attempt to do any broad revision, but to identify specific ways in which the existing bylaws had caused issues, presented barriers to the functioning of the caucus. And so we solicited input, we identified issues, we went through them, and we came up with this group of proposed revisions. The first is that we propose to expand the associate member category, which is non-voting, from the existing non-Jewish North Carolina registered Democrats to include also unaffiliated North Carolina registered voters who are Jewish as defined in the bylaws, and any Democrat registered in a state other than North Carolina who is Jewish. And that second revision addresses the situation of small number of our active members who have moved to other states and wish to remain as associate members in the caucus. We also propose to allow associate members to serve on committees or as appointed officers other than as committee chairs or chapter presidents with the approval of the committee chair or the chapter president. Some technical changes to the executive committee, limiting proxies for the chairs and the presidents to members of the committee or the chapter. The two immediate past presidents are non-voting members of the executive committee. Under the current rules, this would let the immediate past president be a voting member. And to clarify the notice of meetings, to include that they should include the documents relating to the items on the agenda. There's some clarification to the leadership team. The executive committee under the current bylaws is about, I think, 34 members. It may become a little larger as the number of chapters expands and as 2 more standing committees are added. The executive committee meets at least quarterly. The leadership team is a smaller group of about 10 that meets more frequently to address issues in between. And we have expanded the section relating to the leadership team to more carefully define the scope of its authority vis-a-vis the executive committee, and to be more specific about the communication between the leadership team and the executive committee. We have 2 functioning committees. Well, with the policy committee as a functioning committee, which is not a standing committee, we intend to make that a standing committee, and to create an endorsement and government outreach committee as a standing committee. And finally, to reduce the quorum for future conventions from 25% to 20%. We made the 25% for this meeting, but it's a real stretch. And just to make life a little easier in the future, we propose changing to 20%. And so if there are any questions about any of that, I'm happy to try to address them.
Erwin Ornstein has raised his hand. For what purpose do you want to speak, Erwin?
I have a question on the associate members on serving as in chapters as officers.
Go ahead.
And I apologize, I should have read this earlier. Anyway, according to this, associate members can serve as vice presidents of chapters. And vice presidents have roles both on they can come to county executive committee meetings, and they serve if the president of the chapter is unavailable, as far as I remember. By doing that, you can allow non-Jewish associate members to have significant influence in chapters.
Ken?
With the approval of the chapter president or the committee chair for them to serve in that role, that would be correct. But
Yeah.
it would be at the discretion of the chapter president or committee chair to allow them to serve in that role.
I don't think that's wise. The second question, there seems to be a contradiction that associate members can't vote in general meetings, but they serve on committees and as chapter vice presidents where they can vote. So
I'm not sure I understand that they can vote in
Right,
any of those functions.
right. They can't vote. Jeff?
All right, that's not what this says. If you're the vice president, you can attend meetings, executive committee meetings in lieu of the president of the chapter and therefore have a vote.
No.
That's what this says.
Excuse me, I thought that vice presidents of local chapters have to go through an election process. They're not appointed, so they would be an elected officer of the chapter. Therefore, there would have to be a Jewish person or a member.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I'd like to make a motion to adopt these bylaws, and if there's a second, then we can engage in discussion. I made a motion to adopt the bylaws, and then hopefully there'll be a second so we can continue the discussion.
I second the motion.
Okay. I will point out that when we formed our chapter, John Keebler is a treasurer, and he is an associate member. He's not Jewish, but he's a very religious guy and a very interesting guy and lots of Democratic Party activity. To clarify, as I understand this, Ken Shore, this is not changing the fact that you have to be a member to be able to vote. And you don't get a vote as an associate member. Like John Keebler, as our treasurer, has attended executive committee meetings, helped us set up our Act Blue, is a valued member of the caucus leadership team, but he's not a voting member.
That's my understanding
Got
of
it.
the bylaws.
Thank you.
This is Ed Kramer, over in Asheville Precinct Chair 36-1 Chair, incoming first vice chair of the Buncombe Democratic Party. A couple questions. I think it's very dangerous to allow unaffiliated voters to join our coalition when the Democratic, we don't allow unaffiliated voters to hold positions in the Democratic Party in Buncombe County. I think it's very dangerous that unaffiliated North Carolina registered voters who are defined as Jewish can become members. I think it's diluting the organization. The word Democratic is in our title, and I just think that's a big dilution of what we're trying to do.
Well, to be clear, they would become associate members.
Matt, hold on a second, please, just to get control of the meeting again. Thank you, Ed, but please, I will call on people just to make sure we're being orderly. So let me go back. Appreciate your comment.
Is my hand up? I make sure I did that right.
Yeah, your hand is up. But you need to
okay. I'll wait for you to call me then. Fine.
Okay. I see Eva Lee's hand up. Eva Lee, for what purpose do you raise your hand? Yeah, I see your hand.
Thank you, President. Eva Lee, Wake County. My recognition request is along the same lines. It's for clarification of the same rule that is being discussed, which is having unaffiliated associate members be able to sit in as proxy for the president by holding executive office. And I will add to the group, I have no bitterness about it, but I'm a Jewish woman and I wanted to be the state treasurer, and at one point held that office for a week or two and was told that I was being replaced by a non-Jewish person who I love. But it was concerning that I am a Jewish woman who was replaced by a non-Jewish person.
All right. Thank you, Eva. We'll try to respond to the questions after hearing them all. Fred Gutman, I see your hand up. For what purpose do you rise? You're on mute, Fred.
Okay, no, okay, I got it on mute. First of all, I want to thank you, Jeff, and the leadership team for the tremendous work that you're doing. I also want to tell you that several long-term Democrats in Guilford County, including the chair of the party from almost a decade ago, have as their biggest worry about our caucus that in some way or another, it could be taken over by people who are not friendly to our issues, particularly Israel. So my question really was for, I guess, for Ken, is it really wise for us to loosen up things to the extent where that could happen? And I want to tell you something, because I've been called on the carpet and had to go before what's his name, the senator's son, Judge, sorry?
Urban?
Yeah. To try to kick me out of the Democratic Party, or to try to kick out the only rabbi on the SEC. Don't misunderstand what I'm saying here. If there's a way that they can use the rules to take over our caucus, they will do it. And that should be in the back of our head. That is in the back of the head of at least 3 or 4 senior long-term Democrats in Guilford County.
Thank you, Fred. One thing I had mentioned, according to the rules of the day, everyone who wants to speak will have the opportunity, but people cannot speak more than once on the same topic. And we're going to ask everybody keep their comments to no more than 2 minutes. Perry, for what purpose do you raise your hand? And you're on mute, Perry. Still on mute, Perry. Perry, I'm going to go to the next person. We'll come. Oh, there you go.
I had a thing that said the host wouldn't allow me to unmute. I kept hitting the button, but there was some setting. Yes, I rise to clarify one of the bylaw revisions, because some people were worried that associate members by this amendment would be voting members. It only says that they could vote on caucus committees, not to vote in general. And even that vote would be with the approval of either the committee chair or the chapter president. So I think this is mainly to encourage people to help out and have a voice, not to take over. I don't see that as being dangerous. Likewise, it only says serving in appointed offices other than as committee chairs and chapter presidents. So they cannot be chapter presidents or committee chairs. And I think there was a misunderstanding on some people's part as to what the suggested changes were.
Thank you, Perry. Beth, I see your hand raised. Please unmute Beth and tell me why you're raising your hand. For what purpose? Please unmute Beth.
Okay, great. You've unmuted me. Thank you very much. Thank you, Chair. I would like to speak against this, be one of the 3 people speaking against this revision. I understand the intention, because my understanding is that a majority of people in this state register as unaffiliated because of their way to take advantage of voting in different primaries, that there's a reason why people who their hearts are with the Democratic Party may register as unaffiliated. I also know that of people who are very integral, very important people who've been part of our caucus, done a lot of work on behalf of our caucus, who have now moved to other states. And so I certainly appreciate wanting them to stay involved. However, I do not think it is appropriate for any unaffiliated member to be whether a member or an associate member of a caucus of the Democratic Party. And I also think that this is for the North Carolina Democratic Caucus, and I don't think we should have anyone who's from outside the state, especially since we cannot confirm their registration if they are registered outside the state. I am also the person, for those who do not know, who has been confirming people's voter registrations when we add them as members to the caucus, because I have access to Vote Builder to do that. We cannot do the same for anyone who wishes to join as an associated member outside the state. So although I appreciate the intent, I do not feel comfortable opening up the categories for people to become associate members. Thank you, Chair.
You bet. I see our parliamentarian Cliff Moon with his hand up. Let's unmute Cliff, and Cliff should be unmuted at all times. Go ahead, Cliff.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. A couple of small things I'd like to mention. I didn't know exactly how to get to you individually. I would have said it behind. I don't like to involve myself directly as parliamentarian. Number one is that if there is a main motion on the floor, which happened earlier in this meeting, you do need to call for discussion or debate if it's a main motion, any kind of main motion. Number two is that, thank you, Matt, for the emotion, but this is a report from one of your bylaws committee, and it does not require a motion to be on the floor for discussion. Third, and I think Beth just mentioned this, they're only supposed to be 3 and 3 by the rules of the day without unanimous consent, which is fine to go forward for more. And I realize on an important issue like this, you may want more discussion than just three people. And last, Mr. Chair, I believe that if the bylaws is, excuse me, the rules of the day, as I have them, say 1 minute, not 2, for a person to offer their debate. So just small things that people can keep in mind with regard to motions. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much for those clarifications. So with that in mind, we'll hold people to 1 minute, please. Again, people can only speak one time on a topic.
That's correct.
And we'll take another few comments, and then we're going to move on when we get to the point of voting to approve the revisions. If anybody wants to offer an amendment to change a bylaw, pardon me, a revision, if that is in order, we will take a vote on the motion to revise the revision and then move forward. Cliff, did I get that right? Go ahead, please.
Yes, I didn't say anything about that. It would be helpful if somebody, I've noted that there are quite a few people who have concerns about this revision to your bylaws. An amendment would be in order, however, only to the second degree. So.
Okay, thank you. So we're going to take a few more. I see Eileen, I see Robert, I see Sarah, I see Tom. Those are the 4 people we're going to take in order. So I'm going to go to Eileen first. Please hold your comment to a minute. Go ahead, Eileen. Unmute Eileen Para, please.
Okay. All right, there it is. Takes a second to unmute it. No, I basically just want to say that I totally agree with Beth, with the comments Beth made. And I think it's extremely important that everybody in this caucus be a member of the Democratic Party. I think that's very important. We are the NCDPJC, and that goes along with all the other Democratic caucuses. So I don't see that it would even be correct for us to make that exception. But whether that is true or not, we are Democrats. And just by the honorific, whatever you might call it, of being Jewish, I don't think that fulfills our mission. It's for Jewish Democrats.
Thank you, Eileen. Please unmute Bob Hyman.
Yeah, I'm going to start with a point of order. As I recall, and that you and I carefully went over the rules. There is a rule saying that we can't amend any of the amendments here, and clearly there's an appetite for that. Therefore, I move that we suspend the rules to allow amendments to the amendments here, because there's clearly quite a bit of opposition.
Second.
And that requires a 2/3 vote.
I wasn't aware of that.
Cliff, is that in order, please?
Yes, I wasn't aware of that rule. Forgive me, because I don't have all of your. Is that a previous rule, Bob?
It's a rule in the bylaws.
It's in the rules.
I mean, I'm sorry. It's a rule in the rules of the day.
In the rules of the day about no amendments.
Yep, and clearly that's inappropriate. Therefore, my motion.
Okay. Yes. Okay.
That motion seconded. Do we have a second for that motion?
I heard Matt seconded.
Matt seconded.
All right. We have an in-order motion that would allow for a motion to revise any revision here before passing the bylaws. Given
Well,
that
well, no, Mr. Chair, excuse me, Mr. Chair, it's a 2/3 vote to
I
suspend the rule.
understand. I understand. I was going to get to that. Given that a motion is in order, we'll now vote by hand. So everybody who wanted to comment, please lower your hands for the moment. We're going to vote. The vote is, if approved, and I'll ask you to put your hands up first. If approved, you are changing the rule of the day that would permit an amendment to revise the revisions to the bylaws. If you're in favor of that now, raise your hands. It will require a 2/3 vote to pass that. So please, if you're in favor of allowing an amendment to revise this revision, raise your hand.
We're standing at 70. I think we've gone over the 2/3. 73 is where we're set. We stopped at 73.
Thank you, Pam. Given that we've reached 2/3, after we finish this discussion, and we're only going to have a few more individuals to talk about this point, we'll then conclude the rest of the revisions discussion, if there is any other, and then we'll move to vote. And when we vote, if an amendment is offered and in order to change, as a for instance, allowing unaffiliated to be an associate member, or allowing Democrats outside of the state to be an associate member. At that point, if an amendment is offered and seconded, we'll vote on it. So last couple of comments. Sarah first, please go ahead.
Yes, I'd like to speak in favor of this change to the bylaws. First of all, I heard some comments that we couldn't confirm who unaffiliated Democrats registered in a state other than North Carolina. In fact, we can simply go to those voter registration websites, their State Board of Elections websites. And the reason I think we need this is because there are other sister organizations that are Democratic Jewish caucuses across the country. And it would be nice if representatives of their groups could also come to our meetings and be non-voting members. When it comes to non-Democrat people who are registered as unaffiliated, there is a precedent. When the bylaws of the Arab American Caucus says that any person who is registered a Democrat in North Carolina who's not an Arab can be a member. Arab American citizens who are registered as unaffiliated in North Carolina, Arab American citizens who are not registered to vote in North Carolina, and Arab legal residents, green card holders. And I think the reason for this is because we have a lot of allies out there who for one reason or another are now affiliated. It could be just so they could vote in the other party's primary. It could be because they fell out with the Democratic Party over one or more issues. We need all the allies we can get. If we have these people as associate members, they can't vote. They can just be there. They can also serve on our committees with the consent of the chair.
Thank you, Sarah. I'm going to take the last comment from Naomi Friedman. Please unmute Naomi. Naomi, go ahead, please.
Okay, thank you. You have to press that twice before you can unmute, like Perry was saying. And I just wanted to support what Sarah was saying. Actually, I was just trying to make sure that I could raise my hand. So, but I do think that, at least I've seen in Buncombe County, that we really need as much strength as we can get. We need as much participation. We need, anybody who we can activate, we need to activate. And I also share Fred's concern that we definitely want to, and I also know so many Jewish progressives who are unaffiliated precisely because they want to be able to vote in the primaries. Okay. So I'm just.
So we've now heard at least three comments in favor of these revisions. We've heard more than 3 opposed. So I'm going to move us. Ken, was there anything else you want to say about these revisions? Ken Shore?
Um,
Can we unmute Ken?
Ken can unmute himself.
Okay. Ken, is there anything else you want to say about the revisions to the bylaws? I'm not hearing Ken. Are you muted?
I think Eva wanted to be recognized.
But yes, we've had Eva's already spoken once, and we've had.
She has a motion.
Okay, I'm sorry. For what purpose do you rise, Eva?
Thank you, Mr. President. Eva Lee, Wake County. I moved to rise because in the chat, Pam has posted that we didn't meet the 66%. And my question is, which was in the chat, is are non-voting members being included in the quorum that counts for the 66%? We are 1% shy, and how are we counting that? Thank you, Mr. President.
There are, Pam, can you give me a count of how many?
I said we met the quorum, and
Okay.
somebody took the amount of participants, and I said if we exclude the associate members, we meet quorum.
Thank you.
Or
Ken
meet the
Shore?
vote. I apologize. Not quorum, but the vote.
I actually have a motion.
I just want to, yes, go ahead with the motion.
Okay. Let's refer for my motion to the actual wording of the recommended changes. Under privileges held by associate members, and if I scroll a little bit, I can give you the exact placement. Article 1, organization. Number 2, membership. E, member privileges. Little Roman numeral 3, privileges held by associate members. Item 1, where it says serving in appointed offices other than as committee chairs or chapter presidents. I would like to add the word or chapter vice president. That means that if you're an associate member, you can't be a chapter vice president.
Second.
And the amendments themselves to these, to the proposed amendments only require a majority vote.
The amendments to the amendment.
Only require a majority vote.
So Bob, can you please repeat your motion? I'm going to capture it.
Okay, let me go back to the PDF again. Give me a chance. Under privileges held by associate members, item 1, which says serving in appointed offices other than as committee chairs or chapter presidents, add or chapter vice presidents.
It's been mentioned in the chat that there's already a motion on the floor.
There wasn't a motion. This is
Wasn't
my
a
first
motion that was
motion.
seconded before. Matt began a motion, but it wasn't seconded. So, I mean, there wasn't a seconded motion we had to act upon. This motion has been made and seconded. So the motion is to, in the privileges of an associate member, to add that they may not be a chapter vice president. Is that correct, Bob?
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
And
So
this alleviates the objection of having a potentially powerful post held by an associate member.
okay. With an appropriate motion made and seconded, we'll now have a vote. If you're in favor of adding language, which would prevent.
You do get to discuss the amendment.
Okay.
I just, you do. I'd leave you alone otherwise, so you could go on. I apologize.
So we'll allow for 6 comments, 3 in favor, 3 opposed, to this amendment, keep your comments to 1 minute. So if you want to specifically speak for or against this proposal by Bob Hyman, have your hand up. Linda Brinkley, do you speak in favor or opposed to Bob's motion? You're muted, Linda. Go ahead.
Okay. Not sure. And I am also, oh, now I know why I'm having feedback. I'm sorry. I'm gonna just ask a question. Do we have to vote on the entire bylaws package as one, or can we split them out one at a time?
It would require, right, according to the rules, they'll be voted on as a body. However, amendments can be offered. But right now, we're just taking comments for or against the amendment that was made, the proposed amendment by Bob Hyman.
And regarding the amendment, we had a question previously about whether the associate who is not a that a president of a chapter cannot send their vice president as a proxy if they're an associate. So this is going to resolve that question.
Yes, because it would preclude an associate being a chapter vice president. All right. At this point, only taking comments for or against. Barbara Weber, do you speak for or against the motion? Barbara, you're recognized. I don't see you muted, Barbara, so you're not speaking?
I think she may have raised her hand in error.
Okay. Lynn Schwartz, you're recognized. Are you speaking for or against the amendment?
Did you ask something?
Lynn, your hand is up, so I wanted to know whether you.
Yeah, I had to wait for them to allow me to say, yes, I wanted to unmute, sorry. Yes, I would like to speak for the amendment. I totally relate to the folks who were concerned about people who may not have been elected or non-members. I'm sorry, people who are, anyway, I'm voting for it. I think that does resolve the issue that the people who can vote at executive committee meetings could be the president or the proxy vice president. This would alleviate that problem because those people cannot be either a president or a vice president of a chapter.
We're going to now try to get somebody speaking against the amendment. Tom, do you want to speak for or against? If you're for, I'm going to put you on hold for a second. Tom Cohn? Lower your hand. Okay. Erwin Ornstein, do you want to speak for or against this amendment?
I have a question. Can I ask a question about it? A point of clarification, point of order. I'm not sure what the proper term is.
Go ahead.
Does the amendment proposed mean that the revision, does this revision override the amendment proposed? Or is this revision now mute?
Huh?
The amendment, the summary, the revision of the bylaws allows associate members to serve as committees as appointed officers. What Bob proposed, which I support, says only they can't be a vice president.
Yeah, it excludes them from being officers that are normally elected, including the chapter president and chapter vice president.
Okay, so this then, the summary of the revision to the bylaws would then have to be amended to reflect that change.
Yeah, the summary of if I may, just if you'll excuse me, we're not voting at all on the summary of the bylaws. We're only voting on the bylaws. The summary of the bylaws were to help people to understand the proposed revisions.
Okay.
So we're not voting on this at all. The summary of the bylaws never become a part of the bylaws.
Now I understand. So your revision really makes that paragraph under 1B mute.
Correct.
It makes it,
Moot.
yeah, it's no longer true because we're changing it.
That's
Okay.
that's the point I needed to clarify.
Yeah,
Okay, then I don't need it to talk in support of it because I think the support is obvious.
Okay, Perry Dror, do you rise in favor or opposed to the amendment?
In favor. In favor.
All right, so you're number two. Do you want to say anything? You've got a minute if you want it.
No, I just want to again recommend that people look at the actual PDF and not at the summary. And I think Bob's suggestion will definitely solve most objections that there have been.
Ed Kramer, do you rise to speak for or against the amendment? Unmute yourself, please.
So, okay, so first of all, I think this is a very bad idea. This should be written out so that we can, I've heard a lot of versions of this amendment. I'd like to see it put up on the screen so we know what we're voting for. After 20 minutes, I've kind of lost what the amendment is
In the
specifically.
chat, Ed. I just put it in the chat.
Okay, you can't post it on the screen?
No,
Okay.
no.
Anyway, I am voting, I'm neutral on it, and I will decide when I hear the rest of the comments, but I have some other comments, but they're not pertinent to this particular issue, so I'll pass.
The last two, Eva Lee. Do you speak in favor or opposed to the amendment?
Opposed.
Okay, and your rationale, if you want to offer one?
Thank you, Mr. President. Again, in relation to my earlier statement, I think the issue is executive office, which includes treasurer. It is not enough to just say first vice president. I can tell you that first vice presidents get cancer, second vice presidents get cancer. There's always the
meeting.
There's always the opportunity. There's 5 executive officers, president, 3 vice presidents, secretary, treasurer. Okay, so 6. Those 6 offices carry responsibilities and duties. And in general, executive office, like, I'm just going to be real with everyone. I am president of the Wake County Senior Dems, and the Wake County Democratic Party does not let me vote in their executive council. They have something called the small CEC, which is like 25 people. The large CEC is 500 people, but the executive council, even though the POO says I should be allowed to vote as a duly elected chair of a caucus, I'm not allowed to. So when they make endorsements, they don't even let me in the room. So who we let in the room matters. That's all I'm against. I would say the amendment needs to say executive officers. Thank you.
Last comment, Tom Cohn, do you rise to speak in favor or opposed to this amendment? There you go.
Okay, finally, thank you. I speak in opposition, generally because I don't think it goes far enough. I agree with the concept of not allowing associate members to be vice president, but 2 things still bother me. One is it still allows for kind of packing of voting to some degree. The other is it says with the approval of the committee chair or chapter president, which means it's sort of wholly in the discretion of one person or one of 2 people. And that sort of looks like cronyism to me. I think we would have very clear rules about who can and cannot vote. And I really think it ought to be members. I'm agnostic about someone serving as, say, secretary or treasurer, but they should not get a vote. Thank you.
Thank you. Bob Hyman, would you agree to a friendly modification of your amendment to say officers, meaning elected, the president, the vice presidents, the secretary and treasurer, to not be allowed to be associate members? Would you agree to that?
no, and I'll explain why. Although other amendments may be needed, if you said that the treasurer cannot be an associate member, we wouldn't have John Keebler. We would be cutting off talent to appointed officers. My amendment only addresses vice president of a chapter, not globally, okay? If other amendments are necessary, that's fine. But the rationale for allowing appointed officers to be associate members was that becomes at the discretion of the chair and the executive committee on the for statewide offices. I'm not sure if I remember whether the secretary of the chapter is appointed or elected, but in either case, the secretary can never be a voting member of the executive committee. I would like to leave the scope of the amendment as is, and if people see further need for amendment, we can have additional amendments. I was addressing a specific issue.
All right, thank you, Bob. We are now going to vote, having heard multiple comments in favor and opposed to this Bob Hyman's amendment. I'm going to ask those in favor of passing the amendment, which would add...
May I have a point of privilege? I know I'm not a member, but this is super important.
Please go ahead.
I don't think you can allow unaffiliated members to be a member of a Democratic group according to the POO.
Well, first of all, that's not what we're voting on right now.
Okay, just wanted to get that out. Sorry about that.
Let's handle that if necessary by separate amendments, but I don't see where in the POO that exists.
Could you please restate the motion?
Okay, going back to.
Here's the motion out of the transcripts. I'm reading it. Under privileges held by associate members, item 1, which says serving in appointed offices other than as committee chairs or for chapter presidents or chapter vice presidents. I'm sorry, can you clarify that?
That's right. So it's adding the chapter vice president to the preclusion. Okay. Those in favor of the amendment, please raise your hand. Okay. Please lower all hands. And Pam, if you can lower them for everybody, that would save time. Okay. Those opposed to the amendment, please raise your hand. Okay. The vote was 59 in favor of the motion, 11 opposed. The motion passes. So now, do we have a motion to approve the bylaws with this one revision?
Again, I hate to intervene, but other amendments may be in order and you should entertain them.
I understand, but right now I'd like to see if there is a motion to approve the bylaws. There can be a motion to amend them. Matt Sadinsky.
I move to approve the bylaws as amended.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
I second.
Who's seconding?
Frank.
Matt.
Frank.
Matt, point of question, Matt.
Yes.
It's Catherine Maggot. I wanted to add another motion to this, another part to this amendment, and I haven't been able to speak. So
Well,
before
the
we
amendment
approve the bylaws,
the amendment has passed. Do you wish to offer another amendment, a separate amendment?
yes, I wish to offer a separate amendment.
And I just want to get clarification from our parliamentarian, Cliff. So we have an appropriate motion to approve or not approve the bylaws as currently amended, which was seconded. Is it in order now to take another amendment and vote on it prior to the primary amendment of up or down on the bylaws? Cliff Moon.
As I understand it, Mr. President, Matt's motion, he was recognized, stated what he was doing. He made the motion, it was seconded. That's the motion on the floor. If he would withdraw that motion, which he could do that, I suppose, with the approval of the seconder to allow for a different amendment vote.
I'd be happy to withdraw my motion if Frank agrees to listen to Catherine Maggott's.
Yes, I agree.
Okay. Thank you, Matt and Frank. Catherine, go ahead.
Thank you, everyone. So in that same category, membership privileges under number 3, and then under number 2, serving and voting on caucus committee with approval of the committee chair or chapter president. I really feel very strongly, and I was on the POO, that this should not be or chapter president, because very often committee chairs resign, chapter presidents remain, and I think you need the approval of both of them in this situation. Because of that, there's many, many changes that occur.
So you actually state the amendment as you'd like it to be?
Yes, I'm just changing the word in it, serving and voting on caucus committees with the approval of the committee chair and, not or, chapter president, as required in connection with the performance of their duties in any appointed office. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay. Now we can have discussion. We'll take up to 3 in favor, up to 3 opposed, and then we'll vote on that amendment. Does anyone want to rise in favor of the amendment Catherine Majid just offered? I see no hand. Bob Hyman.
Yeah, I don't understand that language to begin with. The committees are caucus-wide. Why should a chapter president have the ability to approve a member to a caucus-wide committee when that should really be the president or the executive committee? I understand and agree with the intent of the motion, but we have the wrong officer here.
So are you making asking for a friendly revision to
I would like to have a friendly revision. Actually, as Cliff Moon will tell you, there's no such thing as a friendly motion. But I'll tell you what needs to be changed.
Just need an amendment.
There's no such thing as a friendly amendment. Okay, Cliff, you taught me well. It ought to be serving and voting on caucus committees with the approval of the committee chair and caucus president. Okay, if Catherine would withdraw
I said,
her,
that's what I was saying, Bob.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, if it wasn't clear, that's what I was saying, Bob.
Okay, so you want to strike the word chapter from president and add the word and, so it becomes committee chair and caucus president. Is that what you intended?
Correct. Thank you for your
clarification. Okay. Again, we'll take up to 3 in favor, up to 3 opposed. Brief comments.
Well, is that now officially the proposed amendment to the revisions?
It is.
I still second that as you've just stated it, Bob.
Okay.
Eileen, do you rise to speak in favor or opposed to that amendment?
It's too much. I can't get. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. I have a point of clarification. Can I do that now?
Sure.
Okay. I'm really somewhat confused. When we started speaking, we were having the discussion around whether only Democrats could be members, you
We're
know,
not
and
on that- we're not on that point.
I know we're not. What I'm saying is I don't know where we are.
We're on-
It seems that it seems we have several motions on the floor. So I would like to, and we've discussed several things and now we're moving ahead. So I would like a clarification as to where we are on the issues we've discussed.
We have a motion on the floor, Eileen, to change the wording in the bylaws, which, and actually, Catherine, can you just repeat it, or Bob?
No, I understand that. What I don't understand is what happened
That's
to the
only thing
others.
appropriate right now. It's the only thing that's appropriate right now.
But
we have a properly made motion that's been seconded. We're in discussion of that motion. We're not in discussion of other items. Lynn Schwartz.
I'm sorry, I don't have the actual bylaws in front of me. Are we talking only about within a caucus chapter, or are we talking about the entire executive committee? Because I thought it was just the caucus chapter at the approval of the committee chair of the caucus chapter and the caucus president, chapter president, just within the chapter, not the whole, unless I'm confused. I thought this is
about speaking to people on committees, not being allowed to be a chapter president or vice president on a committee without approval of the chair of that committee and the chair of the caucus. Do I have that correct, Catherine and Bob?
Not quite. Okay.
why wouldn't it be wait, why wouldn't it be the if it's just talking about within the chapter?
It's not a chapter. We're not talking about the chapter.
It's talking about our standing committees, which are caucus wide.
Okay.
Okay. So I'm going to take a little privilege here. We're at 11:12. We've got a lot of business to address. We are deep in the weeds here. So we're going to vote on Catherine's amendment. Pardon me, Catherine's motion, and then we are going to move. We are going to move to either pass or not pass the entire slate of the bylaws. If you don't like something, vote against it, and I'll just push it back to committee for further discussion and revisions. But we're not going. I am going to take a motion after this motion rather, to just go ahead and either pass up or pass down, or pardon me, reject the bylaw revisions. And to keep in mind, if there's things in the bylaws that you don't like, this revisions, just vote it down and it'll go back to committee for work. But we can't continue to debate the minutia here and complete all the business we have to complete. So on Catherine's motion, those in favor, and a couple of people still have their hands up. If your hands are up for a question, please put them down. But if you're in favor of Catherine's motion, please raise your hand now. Okay, thank you very much. Please put all hands down. Thank you. If you are opposed to Catherine Majid's motion, please raise your hand. Okay, the vote was 43-2. Catherine's motion passes. Now, Matt, can you please revisit your motion?
So I now move that the bylaws as amended be approved in an up-down vote.
And
I
do we have-
second.
Okay. Again, we're going to vote on it. If you do not like elements of these changes, then you can vote it down and it'll go back to committee.
We didn't see the rest of them.
Hey,
We've asked-
I would like to point out that now we're at a point, since we're voting to amend the bylaws themselves, this requires a 2/3 vote.
Got it.
Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Those in favor of approving the revisions offered, please raise your hand.
No, approving the bylaws as revised. The whole
Approving the
vote.
bylaws.
It's approving the revisions as revised.
You're approving the revisions or not?
Approving revisions.
To the
Thank you very much. Please put your hands down. Up. Thank you. Put your hands down now.
Oops.
Hands down. Still a few people have their hands up. Few people still have their hands up. Thank you very much. Those opposed to the revisions of the bylaws as amended, please raise your hands. Okay, put your hands down. I'm going to do a little quick math here. It had a 67.56 approval. We had 50 in favor and 24 opposed. So the bylaw revisions pass. Thank you very much. We're going to move on.
President, before you move on to the next, if I may, if you move on to, I think it would be appropriate, unless there's some reason the body does not want to do this, to call for the orders of the day. So we go back to the rules under which you've been operating with suspended rules. And all you need is a motion for the orders, call for the orders of the day. If you want to go back to the.
So moved.
Okay, do we have a second to go back to the rules of the day as written?
Second.
Bob Hoffman seconds. All in favor going back to the rules of the day as originally proposed and approved? Raise your hands. I say we've already reached a majority. So the rules of the day are back in force. I'm now going to turn the floor over to the head of our search committee, Matt Sudinsky, to call for elections of senior officers of the caucus. Matt.
Thank you. So as your nominations committee chair, we've had many discussions across our 5 chapters and across our membership to flush out who we think would be great leaders for the next 2 years. This is a 2-year term. And I'm going to call on them one at a time. And if there are others who would like to be considered for the president, please signal by raising your hand or putting your name in the chat at this point. And then I'm going to do the same thing with each of the other 4 offices. And if there is no others, then I'll get to the end and ask for a vote by acclamation to embrace and endorse the nominating committee's recommendations. So for Lisa Jewell,
I'm going to put Lisa Jewell's bio up so you can see what she's see who Lisa Jewell is.
right. And Lisa, would you like to say a minute about why you're interested in being president?
Well, actually, do we want to see if there are any other nominations first, Matt?
Sure. Let's see. Are there any other nominations? That's the second time. And now for the third time, are there any other nominations or people want to self-nominate? You have to self-nominate and be here to be president of the caucus. Hearing none, I'd ask for a vote by acclamation that we elect Lisa Jewell as president. All those in favor, please signify by raising your hands. Mr. Chair, we're now over 60, 65, 66. Excellent. Then we now have a new president. Lisa, would you like to say a word?
Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for your confidence, and thank you so much to the nominating committee. and the hard work that has gone over making the Jewish Caucus an amazing organization. It's taken a lot of passion and a lot of heartache and a lot of joy to get us where we're at today. I just want to tell you there's going to be such excitement coming up in the future. We hope to elect Democrats and even better, elect Jewish Democrats, expand our membership, increase our communication strategy, whether that is social media, newsletters, and additional programming that we can all participate in across the state. Obviously, we need to combat the terrible rise in anti-Semitism from across the state and around the world. I really look forward to having an amazing year as your president, amazing 2 years as your president. Thank you so much. And I put my contact information into the chat early on today, but I do not want anyone to hesitate to contact me over any issue they may have. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Lisa.
And now for first vice chair. That's Amy Deloach. Is there anybody in the room who would like to place their name in nomination for the first vice chair? Naomi Friedman, you have your hand raised? No? Okay. Second time, second call. Anybody who wants to throw their name in for the first vice chair? And finally, the third time. Anybody present wish to be considered for the first vice chair? Hearing none, I call for a vote by acclamation to name Amy Deloach as first vice chair. Please raise your hand. We're now over 70, 71. Mr. Chair, I believe that we have a first vice chair. Amy Deloach, would you like to say something about your background and interest in being first vice chair?
Thank you, everyone. My name's Amy Deloach, and I've been the first vice chair for the last couple of years and have really enjoyed working with everybody across the state, and am looking forward to continuing all the good work that we have done. I'm really proud of the things that we have accomplished. I think we are critical to the state of North Carolina, and I look forward to working with you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Now for the second vice chair, Perry Dror is an administrative law judge in the Buncombe area, and he has served with the caucus for a couple of years now. And Perry Dror is our nominee for the second vice chair. Is there anybody in this room who would like to place their name in nomination for second vice chair? First call. Any nominees for the second vice chair? Second call. Any nominees for the third time for the second vice chair? Hearing none, I'd like to call for acclamation to elect Perry Dror as the second vice chair of the caucus. All those in favor, please raise your hand. Now seeing over 69, I think we have acclamation. Thank you so much. We now have second vice chair, Perry Dror. Perry, would you like to say a few words?
Well, just because I am a stickler, I believe in our bylaws, the officers are president, vice president.
That's right. Sorry, second vice president.
Yes.
You're correct. I stand corrected.
I just want to say, to paraphrase something that was said in Israel at the time of World War II, we need to fight the Republicans as if there are no problems in the Democratic Party, and we also have to stand firm against issues of anti-Semitism or anti-Zionism when they rear their heads, as if there's no Republican Party. We just have to be vigilant in every direction.
Thank you, Perry. And now for our secretary, third vice president, Steph Mandel. I've just recently met Steph, and I'm very pleased to recommend her for the third vice president. And I'm going to ask 3 times for any additional nominations. Is there anybody in the room who would like to place their name into nomination for the third vice president? Second call. Any other people interested in running against Steph Mandel for the third vice president. And finally, the third call, any other candidates for third vice president? Hearing none, then I'd like to call for a vote by acclamation by raising your hands to elect Steph Mandel as our third vice president. It looks like we have a majority. Mr. Chair, I think we now have a third vice chair.
Vice President.
Third vice president. And now the same procedure with Linda Brinkley for secretary.
Actually, I'm sorry. You give Steph an opportunity to speak.
Yes, please.
Hi, just want to thank everybody who took it upon themselves to organize a Jewish caucus within the North Carolina Democratic Party. I think now more than ever, it's imperative to elect Democrats up and down the ballot. It's vital that those Democrats support Israel as a homeland for our people, and it's vital that those Democrats stand up to anti-Semitism and other forms of discrimination. I look forward to serving on the board and helping build a more inclusive and successful future for Jewish Democrats in North Carolina. So thank you.
Thank you. And now for
Terry Jensen has asked to be recognized.
Okay, Terry. Terry, did you raise your hand? I don't see him.
I think this is Terry. Terry Jensen. No, she says no.
He says no.
Okay.
Pardon me.
All right.
Okay.
So we have a very important role. Secretary Linda Brinkley has served as the chapter president in Wake, and now she has thrown her name into consideration for the secretary of the caucus. The committee spoke to several candidates, and Linda is by far the best candidate for this role. And we'd like to call for any additional nominations. Once. Any additional nominations for secretary? Twice. And the third time, any additional nominations for secretary? Hearing none, I'd like to call for a vote by acclamation by raising your hand to Linda Brinkley as secretary of the caucus. We're now over at 62, and we now have a secretary. And Linda, why don't you say a few words?
Okay, I will. Good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate your vote, and I am looking forward to serving as the caucus secretary. I can take really good minutes. I have been a secretary on a board before, and I have a lot of ideas on how to improve our communication and our member listings and how we email. And I look forward to serving the caucus across the state, and I will still be quite close with my chapter. So y'all, you're not getting rid of me. So I'll see you soon. Bye.
Thank you so much.
So actually, Lisa, you're now in charge of the meeting, although Matt's still working as the head of the search committee. But you've got control of the meeting, Lisa, and just let me know when you want me to advance the slide.
All right.
And Lisa, if you'd like me to continue going for the mediation and conciliation.
Yes, please. Go ahead, Matt. Appreciate it.
I'm happy to do that. So mediation and reconciliation, the mediation and conciliation committee, it's a typo, is established in our bylaws because as a condition of being an approved affiliated organization, we have to have our own internal resolution process. That is, the Democratic Party doesn't want to know about our own problems. If we have problems about our own problem, we should try to resolve it. So these 5 individuals are very familiar with the caucus. They've been there from the very beginning, and they've agreed to serve on the mediation and conciliation committee. I hope that we may never have to use them, but in the event that there is an issue and we were to deny somebody membership, or we were to take a disciplinary action against a member and they wanted to appeal whatever action there was, it would come to this committee. And these 5 members of the Mediation and Conciliation Committee, in their first meeting, will elect their chair. And then there is rules and bylaw in the bylaws that specifically deal with how the Mediation and Conciliation Committee works. So it's a very interesting committee, and I'm going to ask if there are any members here who would like to throw their name into consideration. I'm going to ask 3 times, and if there are no members who wish to be on the Mediation and Conciliation Committee after the 3rd time, I will ask that we vote together for all of them and one vote by acclamation. So the 2nd time, is there anyone who would like to be on the Mediation and Conciliation Committee?
Emily Zimmerman has raised her hand.
Emily? Beth Even? Beth Even? You have raised your hand?
I'm interested, but at the same time, I'm conscious of the time. So if this like extends the meeting longer, I'm happy to go with the current committee.
I will share with you that several members of this committee have shared with me that they may, if somebody else was expressed an interest, they might back off. So after this meeting, if you are still serious, you can make the chair, Lisa Jewell, know about that. And then there may be opportunities for you to get back involved again.
Are there also 6 opportunities, 6 people that may be on the committee?
I think it's 5 members on the
Right,
mediation.
but Lisa Jewell had been on it
Matt,
before.
Yes.
Emily Zimmerman, I was actually jumping the gun to vote for approval of the committee. I apologize.
Okay.
I wasn't expressing interest in serving on that committee.
Thank you. No, the Mediation and Conciliation Committee in our bylaws, number 20, page 24, is that there are 5 members.
I'm also happy to reach out to Lisa after the convention to indicate my interest in, if in the next 2 years, anyone moves off.
Thank you so much. So again, asking for the 3rd time now, anybody interested in being on the Mediation and
Bob Hyman has his
Conciliation
hand
Committee?
up, Matt.
I'm sorry?
Bob Hyman.
Bob?
Yeah, I have a point of information. The way this would work is if anybody on the committee wanted to resign, they would resign. They would inform the chair, and a mechanism for replacing them would go into effect. That's how it would happen. Anybody who noted they have an interest to Lisa could then be contacted in order to basically replace the resigning member.
Thank you, Bob. Okay, hearing no additional nominees at this point, I will entertain a vote by acclamation for Michael Shaw, Robert Hyman, Joel Roche, Eileen Paroff, and Sarah First as the Mediation and Conciliation Committee. Please signify your approval by raising your hand. We're now at 63 with 102 in the room. This is a majority. We now have a Mediation and Conciliation Committee. Mr. Chair, Mr. Chair, Madam Chair, I'd like to continue with the Congressional District Rep elections. And
Madam President.
Madam President.
I'd be happy with Lisa. Please continue with the congressional district rep elections. And can
Okay,
I
I'm
just
gonna
say
share
a
my
moment
screen.
about that? These positions are really important to have these representatives. If there are issues going on around the state, having you be part of your county or your congressional districts is super important. So if there are places that you can fill in, it is really important. Please volunteer. Go ahead, Matt. Thank you.
Thank you. So I have a different slideshow here. I'm going to run through very quickly. And let's see if I can do it this way. Can you see this now?
I think I need to stop sharing, Matt. So give me a moment and I'll stop sharing. Okay, stop sharing. It's yours.
I'm screen sharing. Can you see this now?
Yeah, Matt, as directed on the bottom where you see the book, not the screen, but the book.
Okay, let's go back. Escape.
And please make Lisa a co-host now.
I will do that. Here, let me make Lisa co-host. Make co-host. Good. All right, now can you see this? Where's the book? Here's the book. Okay, good. So redistricting has caused Democrats in North Carolina Dems to lose power in Congress from 7 reps, Republicans, and 7 Democrats to 10 and 14. And if you have some time, this website is very cool. Pam shared this with me, but this is what it was. You can see here, these blue 1, 2, 4, 6, 13, 12, and 14 were Democratic districts. But then what they did is they took 3 and moved it all the way around. They took Wake and broke it up into pieces. They took Mecklenburg and broke it up into pieces. And so therefore, what was and what is, and we now have representatives in each of these districts. We have nobody in District 1, the revised District 1. But we have 37 members in this call today from Congressional District 2. And James Stoffler is our committee recommendation, with Lynn Schwartz as an alternate. Stephen Abrams is the congressional delegate representative recommended by the nominations committee, with Beth Even as the alternate. Catherine Magid and Kurt Lowenstein are the delegate and alternate for the 5th congressional district. Brian is the only person in the 6th congressional district, and he is voluntold and has agreed to be our delegate from the 6th congressional district. Amy Deloach and her husband Mark have agreed to be the congressional district rep and alternate from the 7th congressional district. I'm only one of 2 in Congressional District 10 in Catawba, and would be pleased to serve with your election to be the rep. I already am very active in the 10th Congressional District, and Doug Auer is also Jewish, but he's not very much practicing member of the 10th Congressional District. Naomi Friedman has agreed to stand in for the Congressional District delegate in the 11th, and Frank and Perry have asked that we may find a second alternate here. Emily Zimmern and Eileen Paroff have agreed to be the delegate and the alternate for the 12th Congressional District. And Bob Hyman and Ken Romley, who is in Singapore, but has agreed that he would be the alternate to Bob Hyman's delegate, is here. And again, Ken Shore in the redistrict 14th has been voluntold and has agreed to serve as the 14th Congressional District. So I'm going to do this one at a time until I get to the end. And the people with more than 5 here, District 2, District 4, District 7, District 11, and District 12 have more than 5. And I guess Catherine, in number 7 in District 5 and 9 here, have the capacity. If there are more people that want to be the delegate or the alternate, we would convene you into break rooms. That's why when you entered this room, we put your congressional district number, and we're set up if we need to. Pam has been very kind to help us figure out how to use breakout rooms to get people there. With that being said, let me ask, is there anybody who would like to be considered for the congressional district delegate or alternate for congressional district 2? First call. Is there anybody who would like to be the congressional district rep or alternate for the 2nd congressional district? Second call. Roberta Bloomberg. I'm going to unmute you.
Hi, this is Roberta. I'm with Sandra Pomper, who's also on the call, but we got on our computer together. So unfortunately, he has not had a vote yet, but he was registered. He's interested in being the alternate.
Who is this?
Sandra Pomper.
It's me.
Hi, Sander. And you're a member of the caucus?
Yes.
But he's in 4, not 2.
Oh, we're in 4? I thought we were in 2.
No, it says right in your name here that you're in.
Roberta says 4. Where is Sander from?
No, he's,
Same place.
we apologize. Never mind, I'm going to rewind that, never mind.
Okay,
I apologize.
okay. Third call for Congressional District 2. Any delegate or alternates? Hearing none, I would like to ask for a vote by acclamation to select the Congressional District 2 rep as James Dorfler and the alternate is Lynn Schwartz. Please vote by raising your hand.
Question, can only the people in that congressional district vote for that person, or is that a?
Only the people in that congressional district can vote for that person.
That's right. I'm sorry. I stand corrected. That's right.
So everybody lower their hands and only vote if you're in congressional district 2.
Only vote if you're in Congressional District 2. I see 14 others, 15 others, 16 others, 17. Okay, one more makes it a majority. I had 37 in here now. How many people are in the 2nd Congressional District right now, Pam? Can you tell me? Some people have
I
left.
have to count. 1, 2, 3.
Oh, and James Cantor is raising his hand. So that makes 19. 19 over 37 is a majority. So we now have a delegate and an alternate for the 2nd Congressional District. I heard that Steve, was it Steve Popoff? Who was it that said they were interested in being the alternate from the 4th?
Oh.
Sander?
Sander? Is that right, Sander? Are you still interested in being the alternate for the 4th?
Wait a second, they're saying it now. Yes.
Yes.
Okay. What we will do, and that's only for the alternate, is that correct? Is there anybody who wants to be the delegate for the 4th?
It could be a caucus.
That's the 2nd time. Anybody who wants to be a delegate for the 4th, 3rd time? Hearing none, I would ask for a vote of acclamation for Steve Abrams, and only those people in Congressional District 4 can vote for him.
They want to take it away from Beth even?
Oh, Beth didn't. Yeah.
From Beth even. She
No, I think that we're just voting for the delegate and we'll
Just
go
voting
into
for
a
the
breakout
delegate.
room to discuss
What
the
we'll do
alternate.
is we will put you guys in a breakout room with Erwin Orenstein in the 4th to vote for the alternate. But let's continue moving down this path, because if we can select everybody else, we'll come back to the 4th Congressional District alternate.
Excuse me, Matt.
Yes, ma'am.
Excuse me. So there are some people on the chat that said that the numbers in front of their names are incorrect.
Oh, is that right? Who is that?
Yes. Okay. So
you can
Elise,
change your own name. Oh, no, you can't. Tell
no,
us
you can't.
if you have you believe that it's incorrect. We went through pains to get it right. So please
Yeah.
tell us who thinks it's wrong.
Elisa Sharkey said she is not in Congressional District 12.
Which one is she in?
She's in 2.
Can we
She's
just
in my precinct. I
Can we
know
finish
her.
before?
Elisa Sharkey. All right, let me fix her.
Okay, there's going to be confusion, Matt. People
No,
don't.
there's not going to be confusion. Just hang in here.
Let's just finish with 4.
Okay, we are finished with 4.
I put in the chat where people can double check.
Right.
If they feel like they're in the wrong precinct.
And
Or
Jesse Oppenheim said that the correct precinct, I'm sorry, the congressional district should be 8.
Well, Ken, sure, you are in 12, not 14?
It's.
I'm sorry about that, but that's right.
I
I
thought
was
it
at
was your-
14 before this past election.
Oh, I see. Oh, so we don't have a rep from
I think
14.
Elisa's was a typo. I'm sorry about that, Elisa.
Oh, yes, there should have just been a one. There was a one accidentally put in front of it. And then Jesse Oppenheim says the correct district should be 08, and the same for Nicole Sidman.
Thank you. Okay. So let's go. I'm going to come back to the alternate for number 4 in a minute. But let's go to number 5. There is more than 5 people here. So Catherine.
Well, Matt, did we elect Steve as a
Yes,
delegate?
we did
for
elect
4?
Steve as a delegate for 4.
Okay.
And I'm going to come back to do the alternate election by putting you into a breakout room, but I'm going to try to get through the balance of these right now. So Catherine Magid as the delegate and Kurt Lowenstein as the alternate for Congressional District 5. Is there anybody else from Congressional District 5 who would like to take that role once? Anybody else for Congressional District 5 twice? Anybody else for Congressional District 5 third time? If not, we now have a representative for Congressional District 5, Catherine Magid and Kurt Lowenstein. And let's go to Congressional District 7, which is Amy Deloach and Mark Deloach. Is there anybody from Congressional District 7 who would like to throw their name in the ring to be the delegate or the alternate for Congressional District 7? That's one. Twice. Anybody for Congressional District 7, delegate or alternate? It's twice. And then third time. Hearing no other representative requests to be the delegate or the alternate for the 7th Congressional District, I would ask that you raise your hands if you're in the 7th by acclamation for Amy Deloach and Mark Deloach. Good. We now have a representative, a delegate, and an alternate for Congressional District 7. Now for Congressional District 8, Eric Sidman and Nicole Sidman, who ran for office and
tell me what's going on.
did a great showing, would like to be the delegate and the representative to the Congressional District 8 Executive Committee. Is there anybody else from the 8th Congressional District who would like to throw their name in the hat?
Matt, I've spoken with Nicole. She and I agree. If Eric's unable to make it, it's probably something that will render her unable to attend as well. I ask that I be replaced as Nicole for alternate for District 8.
Thank you. Without objection, is there anybody else who would like to be considered for the 8th?
So should we be joining them?
If you received an invitation to join a breakout room, go ahead and join.
Are you going to doing the 4th now?
Yeah, I figured I'd just put them in there right now.
Yeah, put them in there in the 4th now, and then let Erwin Orenstein call an election for the alternate in there. And this is going to be Jesse Oppenheim. Thank you, Jesse.
Matt,
Yes?
I may have missed it. Did we vote on the 5th congressional district?
You know what? I think you're right. We didn't. So let's take a vote on that. For the 5th Congressional District, we have Catherine Magid and Kurt Lowenstein. We have 7 people that registered for this convention. Only people that are in the 5th Congressional District can vote. Do so by raising your hand. Good. Good. For the 5th Congressional District, I see 3, 4. Good. 4 is a majority out of 7. So we have now for the 4th, not for the 5th, rather. And we did the 6th, and we did the 7th. And now let's do the 8th. As amended, Eric Sidman and Jesse Oppenheim are the nominating committee recommendations for the delegate and the alternate to the 8th Congressional District. First call, is there anybody else in the 8th that would like to be considered? Second call, Is there anybody else in the 8th that would like to be called? And third call. Hearing none, I would like to now call for a vote by acclamation for the people in the 8th Congressional District for Eric Sidman and Jesse Oppenheim. Got it? Good. We got 3, 4, 12. Good. Okay. Now in the 10th, I'm in the 10th, but I'm under 5 people here. So Lisa, at a certain point in time, I'd like to be considered, and you could run it by the executive committee to appoint me if it's under 5 and it's in the favor of the executive committee. For the 11th Congressional District, we have an opening for a alternate, but Naomi Friedman has agreed to be the delegate for the 11th Congressional District. Second call, is there anybody else who would like to be considered for the 11th Congressional District? Is there anybody else who would like to be considered for the 11th Congressional District, either for the alternate or the delegate?
Amy
Hearing none.
Lefkoff's hand is up. Is there a reason?
Amy Lefkoff,
Yeah.
did you want to say something, Amy? No. So hearing none, I'd like to call a vote for acclamation for Naomi Friedman as the Congressional District delegate to Congressional District 11. Only those in the 11th Congressional District can vote for Naomi. And I see hands raised. Excellent. Good. Now let's to number 12. For number 12, Emily Zimmern and Eileen Paroff have agreed to be the delegate and the alternate. Is there anybody else from the 12th who would like to be the delegate or the alternate? That's first call. Second call. Anybody else from the 12th? Hearing none, we'll go to the third call. Any other reps from the 12th Congressional District who would like to be the delegate or the alternate? Hearing none, let's take a vote. For those people that are in the 12th Congressional District, please raise your hand to vote by acclamation for Emily Zimmern and Eileen Paroff for the 12th Congressional District. I'm now seeing votes counted. Excellent. Good. And then the same with Bob Hyman and Ken Romley. They are not, we now have a representative from the 12th Congressional District and an alternate in Emily Zimmern and Eileen Paroff. And Bob Hyman and Ken Romley can be made as a recommendation, Lisa, to the executive committee at a later date. And Ken Shore is in the 12th. I stand corrected. And I don't think we have anybody here in the 14th. Is there anybody here in the 14th? Warren Steinmiller is in the 14th. I don't know who else we have in this. Is there anybody here? I don't think we have any more than 5 people here from the 14th because I counted Ken Shore and his wife in the wrong district. So we'll leave Congressional.
Bud Barrow's hand is up.
Who? Bud Barrow? Bud?
Yeah, I'm in the 14th with Lisa.
Good. Would you like to be the delegate or the alternate, Bud?
Well, I don't want to stand in anybody else's way for either of those, but I'm happy to serve if for one of those if no one else wants to move forward.
Good. Well, let's put Bud Barrow in here. This is great, Bud. Thank you so much.
As a point of information, the quorum is not greater than 5. It is at least 5.
So we can vote for Bud Barrow today.
Mm-hmm.
Without any opposition. Anybody else want to run for the Congressional District delegate or alternate? Second call. Anybody else for the 14th Congressional District delegate or alternate? Hearing none. Everybody in the 14th, please vote for Bud Barrow by acclamation. And Madam Chair, we will hear from the breakout room in number 4 for the alternate for Congressional District 4. But with that.
One moment. We don't have everybody from 4 in the breakout room.
All right, so will we send everybody from 4 into the breakout room?
They should have gotten an invite. If they didn't use the invite, then they'll have to move themselves into the room. If you don't know how to do it, let me know, but I have Valerie Brodsky, Larry Bach, and Robert Fogel who've been invited that have not joined. If you need help, let me know.
Got it. And Erwin Orenstein has moved to the 4?
Yeah, he's in there.
Good. So when they will come back, we will have a winner for the alternate for Congressional District 4. And Madam Chair, I'm going to turn the vote back to you. And we have 5 minutes to meet our deadline of completing by noon. But I will encourage everybody that's here, and it's to our credit that 2 hours later, we're still at 76 here. So there are 9 standing committees. If one of these interests you, please let your chapter president or Lisa Jewell or past president Jeff Beer or me know, and we will let the appropriate committee leaders meet. I think I have this right, Jeff, that Ken Shore was on the bylaws committee, Perry Dror in the communications committee. We don't really have fully formed a finance committee, but I wanted to introduce Louis Zwick, who has just joined us as assistant treasurer.
We've got 3 other reports to go through. We've got
Okay.
the finance report, report on 2025 goals.
So I'm going to stop sharing. And then when we have a report from the 4th, Madam Chair, I'd like to be recognized at that time. Jeff,
That's good.
it's back
Can
to
you
you.
put, yeah, thank you, Jeff.
Okay, I need to share screen again. Pardon me one moment.
While you're looking for that, I want to thank Carol Swartz and Pam and Edgar and the other monitors who have helped us keep this meeting moving. And amazingly, I think we're going to get very close to ending at 12.
Okay, I want to recognize Harrison Smukler. Is he there to talk about the strategic planning process?
I am. Can you hear me?
Yes, thank you. Why don't you go ahead and tell us about your process briefly? Much appreciated.
Okay. How much time do I have? Are we trying to get done by noon?
Yeah, but there's two more segments to talk about before we close.
All right. Well, I'll go very fast. So good morning, everybody. For those that don't know me, my name is Harrison Smokler. I reside in Charlotte, and I have over 20 years of strategic planning experience for Fortune 500 companies. I retired in early 24, and I decided at that time I wanted to do strategic planning for Jewish nonprofit organizations. And that's when I met with Jeff and the leadership team, and we decided to embark on a journey to build a strategic plan for the caucus. So what I'm going to take you through today, I'll do it very, very quickly in the interest of time. This process we started back in August and had many meetings, discussions, phone calls to arrive at what I'm going to show you here as the plan for 2025. The slide you're looking at is an overview of the process we used. I won't go into the detail, but the robustness of a strategic plan requires all of these things on this page. And so as a team, including the entire executive team, we worked through all of these deliverables last year, starting from left to right. The SWOT analysis stands for strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And that is just a process to establish what the environment and context is. That was important because a lot had changed in politics and the political environment, as well as the Jewish community. So it was important that we established a new baseline for our context. You can see we worked on a vision, a mission, and then on the far right, we built out action plans in 2 buckets. 87 days, that was prior to the election in November, and then what are we going to work on for the next 360 for 2025? So if you flip this page, the first thing we did was the caucus ran a survey back in early 24, and as you can see from the summarized survey results, the membership was pretty consistent with the ranking of the highest priorities that the caucus should work on. The top 3 were help elect Democratic candidates, help dispel misinformation and disinformation regarding Jewish topics such as anti-Semitism, Zionism, and Israel, and combat anti-Semitism within the Democratic Party. So flip the page. So the survey was confirmation that the original vision and mission for the caucus were generally correct, but we just needed to do some refinement to be a little more specific and actionable. So the first thing we worked on was building out a vision, and you can see from the definition, for those that don't know how to build vision and mission, a vision is the organization's aspiration or purpose. And you can see where we landed on for this caucus. The vision of the North Carolina Democratic Party Jewish Caucus is to help elect Democratic candidates at every level by contributing Jewish voices and values, creating a welcoming place for Jews and strengthening the party. So again, that's the aspiration, that's our purpose. And then we moved into the mission. We worked on the mission together. And a mission definition, as you can see, is what the organization will do. It describes what we'll do, for who, and when we'll do it, how we'll do it. So click to the next slide. After a lot of work, the group drove our mission down to 5 discrete goals listed here. The first one is engage the Jewish community, become more involved in volunteering, registering, turning out Democratic voters, raising funds, and otherwise supporting the Democratic Party and its candidates. 2, serve as a resource for the North Carolina Democratic Party on issues related to Judaism and the Jewish community. Create an atmosphere for respectful conversations and education throughout the party and other caucuses. 3, combat anti-Semitism, racism, bigotry, and prejudice in all its forms and educate the public about their manifestations. 4, support the Democratic Party platform that calls for a negotiated 2-state solution to the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. And 5, harness the Jewish concept of repairing the world, otherwise known as Tikkun Olam. So flip to this next slide. As I showed you on the process slide, the first slide I had up, the next step was for the group to use those goals to build out discrete action plans. How are we going to achieve these mission objectives? We spent a lot of time across many meetings defining exactly what needs to happen. And in the interest of time, I'm not going to go through all the details, but you can see here, if we just quickly scan, there are a lot of pieces to achieving these mission goals that we've defined for ourselves that will have even more robust, detailed plans attached to them soon that we intend to work on over 2025. You can see all the goals here. Okay. So again, I apologize for going so fast, but you can see a lot of good work was done by many very committed caucus leaders over the course of several months. I want to especially thank Jeff Beer and Frank Goldsmith for being co-partners with me on this, on helping drive this activity, and for having the foresight to recognize how valuable a strategic plan was for the caucus at this time. I also want to thank the executive committee and the leadership team for all of their time and contributions to this plan. I believe the work done represents a really good path forward, and it's appropriate for where the caucus is today. It's ambitious but achievable, but requires the commitment of all of you on the call. So the next step will be to put real meat around these activities with more execution details and activity owners. We will also be putting a scorecard mechanism in place to track progress, to hold the caucus accountable for what we've signed up for. So I think next step is you'll be hearing from your local leadership, the chapter leaders, on what the appropriate next steps are for your chapter, how to meet these actions, how to help support this plan, and make this a reality for 2025. Any questions?
I
Yeah.
see that Erwin Ornstein has his hand is up.
Yes, a bunch of us just came back from the breakout room. And I guess we can read 3 through 5, but we weren't, but at least 1 and 2 were not on screen when we came out.
We'll forward it out. We'll forward it back out to you.
Well, it's not just to me, but to everybody in the breakout room.
Yeah, to number 4.
Yeah.
Go 4.
Absolutely. We will do that. I apologize that you guys missed it. But I'm also available if anybody wants to reach out to me personally. I'm happy to take you through the details and talk about any of these pieces individually if you want.
Harrison, why don't you put your contact information in the chat window, please?
Happy to do so. Yep.
Maria, you had your hand raised?
Marla.
Oh, Marla.
Yeah, it's
sorry.
Marla. Yeah, it's fine. It's Marla. Thank you. Now, I was just curious with respect to goals 1 and 5. I don't need the details, but are there intentional steps for recruiting, reaching out to younger Jews in this state,
Yes,
especially the young adult crowd?
that was part of the underlying detail. Absolutely. That is in the plan for sure.
Thanks.
All right, Harrison, thank you so much for all your time and effort putting that together. It gives us a really good roadmap on how to focus our attention going forward. Now it is time for the treasurer's report. Who is going to be speaking about?
Yes, this is Louis Wick. I am your assistant treasurer, pinch hitting for John Kilber, who was busy today. Just posted on the screen very quickly is the summary of the activities of 2024. I'd like to thank everyone for making the donations and paying their dues. Under the operations section, you can see there's a lot of fixed costs that the caucus needs to pay to keep the caucus running. Those will probably remain fairly constant as we continue to raise more money, which will provide opportunities to provide more donations to more candidates in the coming elections. As you can see toward the bottom, who we gave contributions to in the last election cycle, and there was a little bit of profit at the end of the year. Currently, the caucus has $2,342 in the bank, and that will probably as increases every day as more people pay their dues. And in the name of time, I will not speak anymore.
Thank you so much, Louis. Much appreciated. Can we go on to the next slide? All right, membership dues. Early in 2024, your executive committee voted to suspend dues in 2024 in lieu of donations, introduced a $18 annual membership fees due on April 1st. Let me tell you, I have gone through all of the other caucuses, and that amount is definitely on the very low end of caucus requests for annual dues. Each of you and members not present today will be required to contribute $18 annually to the Fund Our Jewish Caucus. Anyone having contributed $18 or more between the first of this year and today will be recognized as having paid their dues. We will review our accomplishments and plans every February at our convention, and dues will be due on April 1st. For more information, you can go into the frequently asked questions, which a new section has just been posted. Thank you guys for doing that. Does anyone have any questions about the dues?
This is Lynn Kane. I'm in Chapel Hill. I have 24/7 hackers and everything electronic, so I only do money by mail. Is there a mail address to?
Yes, if you go to the website, there is an address where to send it to John Keebler, our treasurer.
Thank you.
Michael Shaw? Do you want to go ahead? Do you have a question?
He's muted.
I'm on. I got it.
There you go.
This whole thing with, if we have our conventions in February, which is probably what's going to happen, and dues are due for that year, April 1st, how are we going to manage with for people who haven't contributed yet? I mean, what will define membership as having been paid for the purposes of being a member, being in the convention?
Membership
I
is.
could answer.
Oh, go ahead, Matt. Go ahead, Matt.
So Bob, yeah, I'm here. Oh, maybe I'm muted. Hold on. Maybe I muted
You're
myself.
fine, Matt. You're good.
You're okay.
Okay. We went back and forth. Anybody who donates anything more than $18 before April 1st, and then if they pay the dues beginning April 1st, it'll be late April 15th. There's so much to do at the end of the year. And then come January, we're actually planning for the convention in February and then the SEC meeting. So we just thought it would best to be April 1st to March 31st be our dues year. And if you're considered a dues paying member now, you're going to be a dues paying member at the next convention. If we piss you off and you don't like it, you don't want to re-up, you could do that and not join again for the next year. But we just think being off cycle actually puts us on a better cycle because we have our convention in February and then the winter SEC meeting in late February or early March.
So if somebody has paid now, has already, and is therefore a member for the coming year.
They're a member through March 31st of 2026.
So if somebody is paid now, they're a member through March. Okay.
Good.
Well,
and there is a series of facts. I can't find it. I think it's posted on the website, right, Jack?
Yes, it is on the registration convention page, and we'll move it to another spot after the convention, but it's posted now. I put in the chat window a number of times. I'll do it again. I'm going to stop sharing for a moment if I can do so. The direct link.
Yeah, and I'll pull it up on mine. I'm going to share the screen. But yeah, go read the facts. We spent a lot of time, wordsmithing the facts and trying to get it just about right.
Okay.
There will be communications coming from the caucus in the fourth quarter, reminding everybody, since we're trying to get everyone into the cycle. So it will be both pay your dues, and if you want to give a donation in addition to that, that would be great. So starting in the beginning of the year, you will know we will have asked for your membership and any donations. Can we go back? Oh, Michael, you're good? Anybody else have any questions about membership dues? Can we go back to the presentation?
That was the last page.
Oh, that was the last page. All right, there was no key dates up there.
I'm sorry, I think you're right.
Yeah, what's next? And may I ask, Erwin, has the 4th Congressional District breakout room come back?
Yes, we came back in the middle of the presentation on the strategy.
And do you have a alternate for the 4th Congressional District? Who is that?
Beth.
Beth Even. Okay, good. Thank you so much for voting. And then we'll publish these delegate lists on the website as well.
Can I just jump in, Matt? It's Evan, like 7 without the S.
I didn't want to correct him.
I let it go for most of the convention, but now
He was kind
I'll
enough
jump
to me,
in.
Matt.
It's Hebrew. It's stone, like the gravestone, Evan.
Thank you, guys. Let's just go over some key dates coming up. The Winter State Executive Committee meeting in Wilson, North Carolina will be on Saturday, February 22nd. It's always important to have members of the Jewish caucus running and getting seated on the SEC. That is North Carolina's voting body to allow us to make difference in how we are organizing and what our strategy is for being successful. Precinct organizing meetings.
Wait, Lisa?
Yes.
Just one quick thing about SEC meeting to mention also that as a caucus, we are going to be there with a table at the SEC meeting to answer questions and present ourselves.
Precinct organizing meetings, there's usually a window sometime between the end of February. Actually, they're doing it in March this year, from the 16th through the 29th. That is the ground floor of organizing. It's a great place to stick your foot into the water of learning about how democratic politics works. Really, it's the heart of getting people out to vote. And I encourage all of you to get involved in precinct organizing and start with being on the board of your precinct. County conventions, April 13th through 26th. District conventions, May 11th through 24th, and the summer SEC meeting is Saturday, June 21st. Let me also go back to the SEC. To be a member of the SEC, you have to be nominated by people in your county convention, and it's really important that if you are interested in being on the SEC, you start working within your county organizing structure to get yourself known and get on that board. Any questions? Oh, it looks like I got a lot. Emily, do you have something you want to share? Emily, are you?
Emily, you just muted yourself.
Yeah, unmute, please.
Sorry. No, I have a question. The resolutions, the problematic resolutions from last year, my recollection is that they were deferred to the next SEC meeting. Are they going to be considered at the February meeting?
No. I've been given an assurance that they will not be on the agenda, will not be covered in the February. They are due to be covered in the summer.
Oh, okay.
And that's by dictate of the plan of organization.
But one moment. But between now and then, there'll be a whole new set of resolutions. So resolutions begin, and Lisa's point about getting involved at the precinct, resolutions first get offered at the precinct level. And then they're passed, or they're passed at a precinct, in which case they're handed up to the county. And at the county convention, they are voted on there, and if passed, they go up to the congressional district convention, and if passed, then they go to the statewide platform and conventions meeting, platform and resolutions committee, at which point, if they are reported out of there, they are brought to the summer SEC meeting to be voted on. And so,
but the ones that were deferred are not, my question, thank you for reviewing that, Jeff, but my question was about the ones that had been deferred last year.
No, I mean, they can't really be brought back up because we have a whole new process. But the key thing is they may recycle for the summer. I don't know if they can or will, but they cannot come up in the February winter SEC meeting.
Okay, thank you. That was my question. Thank you, Jeff.
Thanks, Emily. Ellie, do you have a comment or question?
Yes, thank you. First, I think it's great that the caucus will have a table at the SEC meeting. Are you planning to have any materials to hand out?
Yes, we do. If you want to help us with those materials, we would love your help.
Okay, whoever is organizing, just give me a call. The other thing is, has there been any conversation that if the staunch Palestinian group interacts with us, how we're going to deal with it?
I think that that's really a matter that we can talk about off this call, because it could be so many different issues that they do, whether it's working within the executive committee of the North Carolina Democratic Party. It could be one-on-one. We just want to table that question. Is there anything else, Ellie?
Emily.
It's an important question, and we will be discussing that going forward. So thank you for the question. Let's see, Lynn Schwartz. Are you unmuted, Lynn?
I just did. Hi, Lisa. Congratulations.
Hi. Thank you.
I want to piggyback off of what you said about getting involved. One of the ways that Jewish voices and values can spread within the Democratic Party is for everyone to attend their precinct meeting. And you should be able to find that out. If you can't, you need to reach out to your chapter president who can help you, or to, want somebody on the leadership team. But if you go to your member or to your precinct meeting in March, you can volunteer, or you can say that you would like to be one of the elected members that go to your county convention, then your district convention, then the state convention. And you don't have to be on the board of your precinct. You can just, there's a vote, depending on how many people show up at your precinct, but you can certainly express your interest and be voted and become a member. So don't think that you have to immediately take a board position per se. Just go to the meeting, learn about the process. That's where all these votes, Ellie, and I totally resonate with you on the resolutions. Those are the places where our members who, if they get elected through their precinct, can vote against these egregious resolutions. And I am sure that within the executive committee with the leadership team, we will be discussing ways to deal with any of these resolutions that will and can come up, because there are very strong people. I mean, there are very vocal people in our party that want to put these things out there. So we will talk about it, but I totally encourage everyone to find out what their precinct is. We can certainly help you. Reach out to your caucus president or anybody on the leadership team. And that's how we have power. That's how we gain power.
Just a clarification on that. Since 2015, I've spoken out against resolutions, and I am an SEC member. I was mostly concerned, and I understand having to take this offline, at the table itself, just security involved around that. So hopefully that clarifies what my question was. Thank you.
Thank you, Ellie. Sarah?
Yes, I have a follow-up to Emily Zimmerman's question, and that is at the winter SEC meeting this coming February 22nd, if there's a suspension of the rules, could some of the resolutions that were tabled come back? Or could
May I answer that question?
Yes, please.
The plan of
Robert, go ahead.
organization dictates what the agenda is going to be at the various SEC meetings. The plan of organization dictates that resolutions shall only come up at the summer meeting, so that a motion to suspend the rules in order to inject those resolutions would be out of order.
Thank you, Robert. Pamela? Do you have a comment?
I was going to wait till the very end and see if I could drop the information about my caucus in, but if that's okay.
Okay. At the end, please. Eileen? Eileen Peroff?
Yes, I just unmuted myself.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. I would just like to say I'm a precinct chair as well as a member of the SEC, and I'm a precinct chair in Mecklenburg, which I know many of the people here are from, which I think is our largest county represented here, if I'm not wrong. So I just want to send out a message to everyone in Mecklenburg, because I know I do not know many of you, and I have been involved in the Democratic Party for a long time, that I hope you will really go to your precinct meetings. It's so important for you to know who your precinct chair is. And I will be glad if you do not know how to find that information. If you send me a text, I will be glad to tell you who your precinct chair is and how to get in touch with that person. It's very important to be there. It's very important to get involved in your precinct, because ultimately that's what gets out the vote, and gets out the vote for the people who will be in our interests and what we stand for.
Thank you, Eileen. Thank you. Appreciate it. Erwin, do you have a question?
Two things. First is, we're in Durham County. Durham County tries to ignore us. Do you need to contact the chairman of the Durham County Democratic Party? Because neither Steve or I, we were president and vice president, never got any notices of Durham County Executive Committee meetings or of the CD4 meetings.
Erwin, I will be contacting all of the district chairs, and I will be contacting all of your elected officials in Raleigh. And I will be making inroads with the different caucus chairs. So if you want to send me information about your experience with your county chair, that would be great.
Okay.
And that
But-
way I can develop a relationship and make sure that you're included in all their notifications.
Okay, appreciate that. The second is just for resolutions, and I know this may be early. In our precinct, I wrote several resolutions that made it all the way up to the state, and then I heard they were killed. We can also draft resolutions that can be considered inclusive in nature, but yet protect our interests. So that's just something to consider as we go through the process.
Thank you, Erwin. Bob Hyman?
Yes, thank you. I wanted to emphasize and add something. The precinct annual meetings, I agree, are absolutely important. They are critical. They're your chance to become a delegate to the county convention, where you'll have a better chance of being elected to the CEC, the State Executive Committee. And they're also your chance to fight resolutions that are anti-Semitic and anti-Israeli. They're also your chance to introduce resolutions to back our Jewish values. So make sure, absolutely make sure to make it to your precinct annual meeting. Make sure you get invited, contact the current precinct chairs. The other thing that you're going to be able to do at the county convention, if you're a delegate, is vote on the officers for the county party. Okay, so that's an extremely powerful role. I know you can, in large counties like Wake County, you will be one of many, but as one of many, you can have a lot of influence, especially if you also get your friends to come as delegates and get them elected as delegates at their precinct annual meeting. Thank you.
All right. I am now, is there anyone else that has business that they need to do here with the entire Jewish caucus? Or what I'd like to say is that we should take a vote on.
Lisa, I offer a motion to adjourn.
Exactly. I'm offering a motion to adjourn. Do I hear someone who's first?
Second.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And we're going to leave it open here if you would like to continue talking. I know I will stay here for